Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're back in War Thunder, and I was pointed towards a stream that the Orange Doom did. He's basically another War Thunder YouTuber who also streams on Twitch. He's actually quite entertaining and also incredibly skilled at what he does, so therefore, you know, if you just want to see a player who is very good at what he does in the game, then, you know, go and watch it, to be quite honest. Definitely an informative stream. Definitely a stream to watch when we look at positioning and stuff like that, which is something that kind of gets lost on a lot of players. But I want to focus on one part of the stream. They did this kind of podcast thing. There will be a link in the description to the video. It is 6 hours long, but basically the second half of the video is them talking. And I believe who it was a guy called Slickbee, Velici, and Sorin, who are also other people who are involved in the high skill part of War Thunder. You know, squadron battles and stuff like that, and also video makers and stuff like that. And I'll probably do like an op-ed video talking about the other stuff that they mentioned, but I think this topic requires its own video, and it is Airfield AA. Now, their consensus was that Airfield AA should be just taken out of the game in realistic battles. Basically because it is basically only a hindrance to the team that is fighting against it. We've all been in those situations where basically you have one guy left on the enemy team and he's either in a bomber at about, you know, 6,000 meters, or he's in a fighter and he's circling his airfield. As a player who plays generally tier 2 to tier 4 a lot, this happens very regularly. There is always either one person or two people on the enemy team against 6 or 8. They've been thoroughly destroyed, so they go back to their airfield to use it as cover, because obviously the anti-aircraft guns around airfields are incredibly strong at the moment. Probably, well, I'm not exactly sure if they're stronger than they were before. I think they may be better at tracking speeds, because generally what you could do before is you could go incredibly quick and they wouldn't be able to hit you. Nowadays, well, they're pretty much pinpoint accurate when it comes down to it. And their solution being take it just completely out of the game, it shouldn't be there, it's just a hindrance. I have a different point of view. I think it should be kept in the game, just because it does have positive aspects as well, not just negative ones. But I want to also talk about the solutions that I have. Basically, the biggest positive aspect for the Airfield AA is that it stops people spawn camping. It stops people taking a lot of fuel on their planes, and then just going around the edge of the map and being able to just sit near the airfield, wait for the enemy to run out of fuel, and then wait for them to get back to base and then gun them down. And if you don't think this would happen if Airfield AA was not there, then I will point you to War Thunder tanks, where it happens constantly, especially at the higher tiers. Think about the amount of people who don't take a lot of jet fuel, or think about a lot of people who fly stuff like the ME-163. Well, if you're in, let's say, a hunter, why not just take full fuel and then just sit near their base, glide around, save your fuel, and then just gun people down as they land? The jets will be incredibly slow, and they'll have limited fuel, so they'll be easy pickoffs. That is basically one of the major reasons why Airfield AA is important. So instead of just stripping it from the game, the solution that I offer, which is incredibly complicated compared to, you know, just taking it out of the game, but I think it can be done. I really do. We've seen a lot of complicated mechanics added to War Thunder over the years, and I don't see why this couldn't be one of them. This is also a mechanic which could be added to other things as well, if, you know, if it's willing. So the idea would be a timing system. Now, let's say after 5 minutes, obviously the numbers can be changed depending on, you know, if people figure out how to abuse it or not. But let's say 5 minutes after a battle starts, an area around your airfield becomes what let's call a AA zone. So let's say 2 kilometers either side of the airfield, or 3 kilometers. Once again, the numbers are not important. The idea is the important part. The numbers can be changed depending on what happens. So what you do is you create a zone around an airfield for every single player in the match. And that player has a timer which is linked to his aircraft. And the timer could be 2 minutes, could be 3 minutes, could be 4 minutes, could be 5 minutes. Let's just say it's 5 minutes, right? So when you go back to that zone, which is around each of your airfields, or any airfield which has anti-aircraft guns, then that timer starts ticking down. And once that timer reaches 0, for that player, the anti-aircraft guns turn off, and therefore people can go after them. Now, what this would do is it would give that player some breathing space if he wants to land, if he wants to rearm, if he wants to get back up and fight. And it also gives the people who are attacking him the understanding that after 5 minutes they're going to be able to go after him. Now, this could be done as some kind of visual cue for the enemy, because obviously it's going to be quite hard to know when the AA is turned off. Maybe what happens is, if there's one player left on the team, the AA just disappears from sight, so it vanishes. That could be one way of doing it. Maybe you get a voice communication through, when you hear like attack that enemy or critically damaged or something like that. Maybe you can get a notification which basically says the airfield AA has been turned off for this player because he spent the 5 minutes in the zone. So that means that the airfield would not give defenses to the person who you're fighting. Now, this would mean that if the player wants to land and then wants to get back up and wants to fight, then he has the ability to do so without being harassed a crazy amount. But it also means that if he just wants to skirt around the AA for a specific amount of time, and until the match runs out or until the tickets run out, then he can't do that, because eventually those AA are going to turn off for him. So I think this idea tries to encompass both, but the best of both worlds. So you have AA, which can cover you if you're landing, you need to refuel, get bombs, whatever, but also it means that you can't just stick around it. Now, the issues with this idea is, first of all, you have to work out what radius around the airfield is probably the best. How long is it going to take somebody to land? Should that be factored in the time limit? Maybe if you are stopped on the airfield repairing, maybe the time limit stops. How are you going to tell the enemy team that they are able to attack that player? These are the basic things which I see issue with. But just negating and destroying AA completely kind of just, well, it just takes away positives as well, and I don't think we should be trying to take away positives. We should be trying to negate the negatives, basically, and I think this method would work. You could also use it in other things, such as if a player, after 10 minutes, if it's just a single player on the enemy team, maybe something odd happens, like once again the AA just disappears, or maybe you have some radar or sonar or something and gives you a kind of rough estimate of where it is. We already have orders and stuff, but eventually people run out of orders. So maybe you set up that kind of system so you can know which sector they're in, maybe not height, so you can work that out. Somewhat simple like that. But back to the AA thing. Another thing that would solve a lot of these issues would also have multiple airfields. I know it's a bit odd, but if you have airfields near the front line, then you just don't have AA on them. The airfields that we have near the front line on the majority of maps, apart from Hokkaido, like Ruhr is an example of one which has forward airfields, has AA around it. Berlin has forward airfields but has AA around them. Why not just get rid of those AA from the frontline airfields? just so they don't interfere in a battle overhead, which can get very close to those airfields, but also it's able to... you're still able to land, you're still able to repair, but there's this risk-reward scenario in there. I think that would be another thing which could help out. But overall, I think the main thing to look for would be to try and set up a system which would finally turn off the AA after a certain period of time, therefore making it very hard for the enemy just to skirt around the base. Now, many people may say, oh, well, that's just wasting 5 minutes of my time, or wasting 10 minutes of my time, or however long it is. And yeah, you're completely right. And you have the opportunity to go out against the AA if you think it's wasting your time. You have the ability to go after soft targets, or to go and pick up bombs, if you think it's wasting your time. Or you have the ability to go back to the airfield and J out if you feel like it. But there has to be a solution to this, and I really don't think it's just destroying AA. I understand realistically why it wouldn't really make sense to have AA around some of these airfields, especially ones which aren't really established, like, you know, certain ones which are just dirt roads. But then again, we are taking off, you know, 20 kilometers away from each other in a game instead of World War II. Maybe all of these issues will be sorted in World War mode. I really doubt it, but you know, there's a chance. You'll probably get air spawned in World War mode thinking about it. But yeah, that would be my solution to deal with the problem. As I said, I'll probably do an op-ed on some of the other things they talked about, just because there are some things I agree with, and there are some things that I disagree with, coming from a person who doesn't really value the esports side of War Thunder, and to be quite honest, doesn't really find it interesting or anything like that. But then again, you know, to each their own, it's as simple as that. I hope you all have a lovely day, and I'll see you next time.